Hello, welcome to Wasting Time Podcast. I'm Chris. I'm here with Nick. Hello, Nick.
You jumped straight in there.
I know you weren't expecting that.
No.
Normally, listeners, we sit here and we're like, "Go on, who's going first? Who's going to do it? Who's going to do it?" And I just went straight in there. No messing
Fair
around
enough.
today.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Because I'm not around as much as I used to be. So you're leading the show in a way these days. So
That's true. That's true. It's all
yeah.
good though. We've been away for a little while. I did a couple of solo shows with some throwback bands, which was a lot of fun. But it's good to be back. What's happening, Nick? Anything you want to discuss while we're on this intro?
Nothing too exciting, mate. Yeah, just still dealing with fatherhood. We were just talking before we start recording about one of Chris's friends who he's going to a gig with this week, and he's got a 10-year-old now, and he's 10 years later he's actually getting back into music again and wants to go, and heard about the Menzingers and wants to get into them. And it kind of it rang true a little bit. That it's like, fucking hell, like, just there's so little time, like, in the day.
It's
like, the spare time you do have, it's like you just want to spend it with your child,
Yeah, of course. So I mean, obviously, as I was telling you about my friend Jamie that you mentioned there. Shout out to Jamie, who I'm going to see the Menzingers with tomorrow night. I was thinking, obviously, this is what you'll be going through now as a new father. Do you try and make an effort to find music when you can, or is it, as you say, is it nigh on impossible?
I mean, it comes from you, really. Like, if you send me a link, I'll listen to it.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like I don't even listen to podcasts much these days, which is terrible. I know, by being in the podcast business, but it's like even TV shows. I mean, Lucy's better than me. Watching TV because she has time with the baby and stuff. But it's like I almost don't want to start something I'm not going to be able to finish. Do you know what I mean? I hate
that makes sense.
Not like watching half of a show and then I struggle to pick it back up again. Podcasts are kind of the same as well. It's like, and my commute's not very long these days as well. And my commute's only 10 minutes to work, so it's kind of like the times I do have. There's not really the opportunity to just go explore that much. So I very much rely on you, Chris. So I'm sure that will not last forever.
No, for sure.
And it's nice to get out and see some gigs as well, like when I can. I think that'll be where I'll take advantage of.
Yeah.
Still staying a little bit connected to, to music.
Of course.
We did make it to Sam Fender at St James's Park at the weekend, which was
oh yes. How was that?
Which was it was awesome. The sound was terrible, being one of these big football stadiums, but
yeah, I mean, that didn't ruin the experience though?
I mean, the atmosphere was just incredible. Yeah, just even just around town, like everyone in Newcastle shirts, and it was just crazy. Obviously,
he is such a local hero, isn't he?
He is, yeah. And the atmosphere in the ground was just nuts. So it was just good to see him do his thing, really.
Very cool. Have you seen him? So, listeners, I can't remember. I feel like we must have talked about this before. But Sam Fender lives in a very close vicinity to Nick. He's like 2 or 3 roads down from you. Are you seeing him around quite a lot still?
Yeah, fair bit. I actually saw his guitar player and keyboard player 2 days after the gig.
Oh yes,
this week, a place where I drink is they have a little storage lockup, and had a chat with them, and they're still pretty like grounded and stuff, which is just pretty cool. Although the wife says I'm not allowed to like bother him too much, because the rumor is he's getting a bit fed up and thinking about moving out of town. So
so you don't want to do that, push him over the edge.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was gonna tug at your coat again to say,
get him on the podcast.
Try and befriend him, get them on the podcast. But I don't know, maybe that's not the way it happens.
You never know. Never say never.
Yeah.
But he's not doing that much these days. Like, I know he struggled with his mental health a little bit, so he kind of
Really?
dialed down on the like touring. So I think he's doing a few festivals,
Yeah.
like Transmit and I don't know if he's doing Glastonbury this year. My friends Alvana are doing Glastonbury. I saw the other day though.
They are, and
Again.
they just smashed it at Download last week as well.
Well, they pretty much seem to just do pretty much every festival on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
in the summer. Really, like that's their thing, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely.
They'll be
Going from
pleased they didn't
strength to
do.
strength.
Yeah, they'll be pleased they didn't do Slam Dunk this year though. From what I've seen, like
Yeah. So speaking of slam dunk, so neither of us went to it, but your brother went to the northern one, didn't he? What
yeah.
did he say? What did he say about that?
Well, I mean, he said it was just a nightmare getting like. I mean, everything you've
Yeah,
seen from like the comments. I think it was
yeah,
pretty much. I mean, the crazy thing is, it was almost sounded like it was a carbon copy that like the issues that existed
hmm
like were the same across both venues. Like not enough food vendors, so you're
yeah,
having this queue for like 45 minutes just to get something to eat. Same for the
yeah,
bar,
yeah.
same for the toilets. So you spent like your festival time in a
Just
queue
doing
to get
in
a eat,
queues. Yeah,
drink, and piss. Like that, you would just miss like loads of stuff that you
yeah,
could have been seeing on stage.
yeah. And
And getting into the festival as well there was issues with that, I believe.
yeah, some tents were like overpacked. I heard.
Right.
Just sounds like they oversold it.
Well, yeah, all the oversold it and under resourced it, I guess.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean the response was yeah, it
they got some
was
backlash.
yeah, and it's I don't know, it's like will they survive that? I guess really, and they really need to step up and show that they're not going to make the same mistakes. I guess really, and a lot
Yeah,
of people what a lot of people were angry about the fact that the organizers didn't actually address and acknowledge publicly the issues and
yeah,
kind of kept posting like this great festival and gave off this kind of perception that
yeah.
it's the best festival on earth on their social media, and then the comments were just like, can you address the fact that this it's actually a shit show inside.
Exactly.
I think
Yeah,
that's what wound people up the most.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
But yes, hopefully, they'll learn from the mistakes. I'm sure they'll be back again next year. It's
Oh, no doubt, no
such a
doubt. Yeah,
such a big festival in that scene, isn't it? So, I'm sure they won't make the same mistakes again. But going from one festival to another,
hmm
2000 Trees, we've been very fortunate enough to get some media passes for 2000 Trees this year.
Yes. So, Wasting Time podcast is planning to be at 2000 Trees Festival in a couple of weeks, which we're excited about. Yeah, lots. So we'll talk to as many bands as we can. So hopefully, look out for some snippets of that coming up on our show, of course. Any bands that excite you in particular on that lineup of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to see 100 Reasons when they came around with
Oh yes, of course. Yeah,
their
yeah,
shows. We
yeah.
were due to have them on the podcast, which
Well,
might still happen, right?
yeah. I mean, if we don't get a chance to do it at the festival, yeah. I mean, they've said yes, and it's just been a case of us finding a date that works for them and works for
Yeah,
us. But
yeah.
yeah, we'll get there definitely.
But I mean, yeah, I was quite a big fan back in the day, so they
hmm
would definitely be on my list. Frank Carter obviously always puts on a good show.
Yep.
The Wonder Years are there. I'd like to see those guys.
Yeah, definitely
Rival,
hoping to talk to them.
yeah. Who was it from Wonder Years that we spoke to, or you spoke to for the second time?
Casey. Oh yeah, because you were there
Casey.
the first time we had connection issues the first time we had him,
Yeah, he was in
and
like a
then we had
beach
to
house somewhere,
reschedule.
wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah, yeah. And then when he was back home, yeah, I spoke to him one on one. Great guy, actually. That was a really cool interview.
Yeah,
So yeah, it'd be good to catch up with him and hopefully some of their other members as well. And yeah, and like because I really loved that album they put out last year, so I'd like to see some of that live, which I'm sure they'll be playing.
yeah. Rival schools. That's a blast from the past.
Yeah,
That one.
absolutely.
Hell is for Heroes as well. That's an old school band as well,
Yeah,
isn't it?
well, I saw them not long ago because when I saw
Right,
100 Reasons, they were the opening band that night.
right. Yeah, well, they used to tour together back in the day, didn't they?
They did, yeah,
Yeah, I
they
remember
did.
they used to be quite
I
quite
see
tight.
on the second day, there's a couple of like kind of modern pop punk bands who are doing well. There's Origami Angel, who I haven't managed to get into myself, but there's if you listen to Heart Attack Man, their new album's a good listen. I think you'd like them, and they're they're actually supposed to come on this show as well at some point. It's a bit like 100 Reasons, just about finding the date. But yeah, look out for them on this show. Yeah, it's an interesting lineup. Looking forward to it. And yeah, if you're listening to this and you weren't going and it's up your street, please check it out. Happening near Cheltenham.
We'll get around the festival as well and speak to some of the crowds as if we can. I guess not just artists. Be good.
Yeah,
See if we can
definitely.
chat to a few people.
Yeah,
Nice.
sounds great. Looking forward to that. Yeah, so look out for that coming out soon.
Nice one. Any new music anyway? Whilst we're
Yeah, listening to things here and there. There's a pop punk ska band called Millington who I've been into like the last year that they put out an EP on Friday called Welcome Home. Very, very catchy. Would recommend that.
Okay.
What else? Tightwire's album, pretty fun, very Teenage Bottle Rocket sounding.
You sent me that, didn't you?
I did.
Show me how to listen to. I heard a new Kenny Hoopla song today, actually.
What Sabotage?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
I like. Yeah, it's a really good track.
Yeah, I wasn't too fussed by it, to be honest, but yeah, it was okay. It was with Travis as well.
Was it?
Yeah, another one with him and Travis, which is cool. Yeah, aside from that, not sure there's much else that I've checked out recently. Oh, yeah, there's a band called Friend Circle. Got an album coming out at the end of the month. Each song they put out has been quite fun, very catchy. That's Friend Circle spelled as if with all the vowels left out. If any listeners want to check them out. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Although having said that, one song it's not that new, came out last year, but one song I've been listening to loads this week is by today's guest, a guy called Max Bennett Kelly. Sent this one to you as well. I think you enjoyed it too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Liked what he was doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't want to just tread all over the podcast. Your actual episode, but
exactly.
You got much music on the way, or are you going to all cover that? I should just shut up.
Yeah. So I'm. The listener will know because this episode will be out as I'm saying this, but his EP comes out on June 23rd, which is this coming Friday. So it's kind of coming out about more or less the same time as this episode. But yeah, I'll not tell you too much of his story because that's all in the episode. But very cool guy who's kind of really basically kind of blew up from having a moment on TikTok, which was really interesting to talk about and how that came about. Yeah, never really. I guess it's happened to a couple of people we've spoken to before, but this was really, came from TikTok. But yeah, I think let's just dive into it, shall we? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm like did a lot of filming this weekend, so I'm like kind of recovering from exhaustion, but feeling good though.
And where are you speaking to me from right now?
Right now, I am in Hollywood, California. Where are you?
Oh, beautiful. I'm about 20 minutes southwest of London. So I'm kind of I'm in the broader London area, but
wow, my girlfriend's from London.
Oh, really? Whereabouts?
Yeah. She's from Essex, like East Side. Her family's from Essex. She's born in the East London. But we were just there, not just there, I guess, almost a year ago. We were there in like October of last year.
Oh, okay.
So that's cool.
Okay. Was that your first time over here, or have you been a few times?
Yes, first time. But we're gonna go back actually in like 2 weeks.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yes, gonna be there, and then I'll be there on and off throughout the year because she'll be filming over there. So I'm gonna go visit her there a couple times. So
awesome. Did you like it when you were over here?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It's actually where I got this blazer. Funnily enough, I got it at we were in. Oh my god, what was the name of it? It was like a cool. Oh my god, I can't remember the name. So we went to so many places, but it was just a cool kind of like Market area. I remember I got fish and chips. I can't remember where it was though.
Sort of East London area, was it?
We went all over. I can't even really remember where.
So it could have been Camden, somewhere like that. Okay.
Definitely was not Camden. Camden was a cool place, but I went to Camden, but I did not get it there.
Okay. So we've narrowed that down. Okay. No, thanks for doing this so much, man. It's this is cool, and it seems like there's a fair bit happening for you right now, which obviously we'll get into and stuff.
Lots.
So are you based in Hollywood now?
Yes, I live here for the time being. Move into Silver Lake in a couple months, but yeah, I've been in Hollywood for like 3 years now.
Okay, and Silver Lake, very very nice trendy part of town to move to as well.
It's a lot quieter, I should say.
Yeah,
I live like right by the freeway right now, which is nice. It's nice to live by the freeway, but a lot of activity around here.
So is tell me like what a typical day is like for you at the minute. Are you kind of is music like your full-time gig now?
Yeah, I've been doing music full time since 2021. Actually 2020. It was my full-time gig before it made me any money. It's still consistently losing me money, but I decided to move down to LA and just go all in with music in 2020. I had no idea how to do that, but because of COVID, I was kind of forced to learn how to fill my time. So that was a good excuse.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been kind of just I call it doing music, but it actually, that's only part of it. Like I can't be making music every day as much as I want to, but right now I've been doing this short film, which has been taking up all of my time because I finished up this EP a while ago, and then we've been spending the last 6 months doing the film for it, which we just wrapped on filming this weekend, which has been
congrats,
awesome. But thank you. A typical day for me, because my job, if you want to call it a job, is so unstructured that I have to kind of give myself a structure in my day. So I'm very religious about like today, for example, I went to therapy right before this and I can't skip it. I'm a man of routine. So every Thursday at 9 a.m, I have to go to therapy.
Nice. Very
regardless of, yes, but it's like I have to stick to some semblance of like cornerstones of life. Or like every morning I eat the exact same breakfast at the exact same time and I eat the exact same food every day. But then
what'd you have for breakfast?
Okay, I'll tell you exactly what I make.
Go on.
I fry up these like vegetarian sausages. I'm not even vegetarian, but they're just so good. And then I have egg whites, half of an avocado, and 5 cherry tomatoes. And that's every single day.
Nice.
I've had it every day, unless I'm like going out to eat for breakfast. But if I make it for myself, that's the only thing I'll make for the last like 3 years. And then I don't know how to share all this stuff. But then ask me what my typical day was. So
exactly. This is why I wanted.
And then I eat out of a crock pot, 1.5 pounds of chicken breast, 1.5 pounds of potatoes, 2 pounds of green beans, and then like this like spice mixture that I made, olive oil, lemon juice, garlic. And I eat that. I'm not joking, for lunch and dinner every single day. And I have to do these routines. Otherwise I like lose my mind because every day is so different. And I don't know what to expect, that if I don't have like something to like return to, my life just gets way too nebulous. So I've had to kind of learn that. I didn't know that I needed that. But definitely that's like what I can expect every day. And then besides that, it's like some days I'll have sessions, some days I'll go. I love making new music. So that's like my favorite part of the job. So I do that whenever I can. I'll do that at least once a week. I try to work like once a week with someone I've already worked with before, like a collaborator. And then I also try to do like meet with new people every once in a while. But then since the filming, it's just like there's so much stuff to do with making a film. So like yesterday I spent the whole day making like the poster and like the flyer for the premiere. And that was like a whole day of work. So then the day before that was spent editing the trailer. Right. So like just like a lot of various tasks, and then, meetings and whatnot. So that's my general day. Oh, I did yoga. I do a lot of yoga. I do.
Nice. Very LA.
Very LA. I've been doing this actually. I got into yoga when I lived in Arizona, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was much cheaper there. $5 for a drop in. Here it's like 25. But yeah, the film is about boxing. So I picked up boxing to train for this in January. So I've been doing that once or twice a week as well.
Okay.
I love like habits. I love like picking up things and like sticking to them.
Nice.
That's like I get a lot of enjoyment out of that, and then making those kind of like cornerstones, and then just treating the rest of it as unstructured, free, creative time, and doing whatever I want during that time.
Nice. And we've just come off the back of I'm not sure how many it's been out. Is it about 2 weeks? Your single Paycheck came out about 2 weeks ago.
Not even
that.
A week,
Okay.
I think a week today. A week tomorrow. So very, very recently, actually.
Nice. How's it been received so far?
It actually is like, I kind of like forgot that we were releasing it. That sounds so bad, but the other two had music videos to go with it. And so that was obviously a lot. And this was supposed to be kind of like a surprise single before the EP comes out. And it even surprised me. I forgot also. So I forgot to like promote it until a couple days before, but it's actually been streaming better than the other two, which is crazy how that happens sometimes.
Okay.
So we love a dark horse, but I've always known this was like a special one. I've teased it on social media and stuff before, and people have always been receptive to it. I feel like it's a pretty good encapsulation of a lot of my musical ethos, things in the song. So I'm really happy that it's finally out. So I'm very proud of this one. So yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously not long before that you had 2 a.m., which I guess there was more stuff around it. We'll talk about the video with that in a second. But I saw, so you co-wrote 2 a.m. with Lil Aaron and Dan from 21 Pilots. Is that right?
Yes. 2021. It's a while ago. Yeah. Like summer 2021.
Oh, okay. Okay. So the song's 2 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with those two? Because they're pretty big hitters. Did they kind of come to you? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah. So around that time, my song "Happy, Healthy, Well Adjusted" had a little moment on TikTok, and before it was even out, Aaron is like the world's greatest A&R, to be honest. Like, he'll like find so many people on like TikTok, and I mean, he has his own imprint on his publishing company. He has a whole thing going, right? He's a goat. But he found me before the song was even out. So like I had just like teased it on TikTok very early into my career, and he just DM'd me and said, "I want to make you a banger." And I said, "Okay." So we went.
And were you, sorry to jump in, were you like quite aware of him and what he'd done when he messaged you, or were you kind of like, you looked him up and thought, oh, okay, this guy's written some big stuff, or were you like a fan already? Like how was that received when you first got that message?
I knew Drugs.
Okay.
The song, like and then as I researched him, because I was like, oh, who's this guy? And I realized I know this song. I was like, oh wait, I know so many things this guy has written. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So and then at the time I was hanging out with these two of my friends who lived here at the time, and they were like huge fans of his and like his collaborators, like Little Otis and Smart Death and everyone. So they introduced me like, this guy's like the shit. And I was like, I kind of knew. And then so I started like hanging with him around that time too, and get to know all those guys at Hazard. They're really good guys. But anyway, so I was like so like unorganized and like not on top of my life back then, just because like I didn't know what I was doing. Like I had literally posted like 5 TikToks, and then this thing like blew up, and then all of a sudden like everything was happening. So I was like, what the fuck is this? So at the time I was like talking to this girl who kept like throwing off, like I was like one eye on music, one eye on this girl, right? And so and we were like in a fight or whatever, which is like so just a juvenile shit. So I had the session with Aaron, and we were like fighting. So I was like late. I seriously was like an hour late. It was terrible. And then, but I was also like, is this even a plan? I don't really know what was happening. He just told me to pull up. And then I had no idea what to expect, but I knew he said banger, and I knew the kind of music he made. So I was like really excited to make like a loud, like crazy song. Yeah. And then I just got in a fight with this girl, and then I was late to this thing. I was feeling like so down on myself, just like this sucks. And I was like, just not in the mood to make a song, like a hype song. I guess at the time that was like the only thing in my wheelhouse was making loud things. So I was like, oh, that means I'm not going to make a good thing today. And so I get there, I'm kind of like low energy, and then Dan's just sitting on the couch. I didn't expect him to be there. Then Aaron was like, yo, this is Dan. It's my secret weapon. I was like, oh, that's funny. But I get there, and then I kind of tell him like, sorry, I'm kind of low energy. Like I thought we were gonna make this banger, but now I'm just like feeling sad. And he like instantly picked up on it. He's like, no, we got to write about that. And then he was like, what's going on? And I was like, well, I'm in this fight with this girl. And like now she won't even like text me back. And he just instantly goes like, when you hit this call, you hit. And he's like, whoa. I was like, that's crazy. You just made that up.
Yeah.
And then he was like, Dan, go play. She literally just like, Dan, make a guitar part. And then I'm not even joking. This is how fast it came together. That we had the voice memo recording on an iPhone, just like capture all the Aaron was like quick start recording before anything started. Yeah. And then you can hear it in the song, in the intro. He's telling Dan what to play, and then Dan makes it up. And that's the song. And that was recorded. I'm serious. It was that fast. It was just on an iPhone recording. The guitar is done. Yeah, the guitar was recorded on an iPhone. You can hear Aaron being like, yo, play that part, but with like this chord. And then that's like the whole take. And so it's like not even done to like a grid or anything. So it's kind of off. It doesn't like it's not like if you put it in like a project, it's not like to a metronome or anything. You can hear the metronome in the background, sort of in the recording, because it's like recorded on an iPhone with no headphones, but it's not like perfectly on beat. And then we kind of just recorded the vocals really fast, just like wrote the lyrics and like workshopped the melody. And like, I seriously think the whole thing took like 45 minutes.
Wow.
And then it was like magic, because he's like, obviously like such an experienced songwriter. Sure. Dan is such an amazing guitarist. And then I knew exactly what I wanted to say with the lyrics, because all I had to do was be honest. Right. And so, we put it together. And then there was like a weird thing, like the studio was in some guy's house, but like neither of them knew the guy. Like the publisher just like put him in the studio, and then the guy was like sleeping next door and like snoring. So we had to like go to a different studio to record the second verse, which to the attuned ear, you can tell is recorded on a different microphone. Right. But, that was like in the middle of the night. Like I got there at like 10, and then we were like recorded it really quickly, started mixing it, had to move to another studio at like midnight to do the other vocals. And then I went home, and that was it. That was the making of that song. And then I think before I put it out, I was like, this needs like a little something else. And so Dan was in town, because he moved out of town now. And then he was in town a couple of months ago. And I was like, you want to add like a little extra like guitar lick to this? And so there's like a little twinkly guitar that comes in after the second chorus that kind of adds to it. And so that was the only other thing that was added. So this whole thing, the whole track has like 5 stems in it.
Oh, wow. That's
how that got made.
Wow. And have you, is that the only session you've done with Lil Aaron?
We did one other one. Yes. And then that's it. Maybe because at the time I was like I did a couple sessions at Temple Base, and then right around then I took a break from like, I kind of wrapped it all up. Took a break from doing sessions, finished the EP, and then that's the last thing I think we did together. But I definitely I'm a great guy. I'd love to get into him again. I learned a lot from him that session, because that was my first time being in the studio with people that I didn't like know personally. Okay. So that was like my first time doing the thing where you meet them in the studio for the first time. Obviously now I'm like, that's very commonplace, but I guess just like there's a crash course in like what making music is, because he was just so like knee-jerk reaction to it, didn't overthink it, was just like, oh, this is the first thing we come up with, that's the music, right? Like I used to take a lot more time before this, and then after the session I learned like so much. Like I got obsessed with making stuff really fast. That's kind of my go-to tool now, is like speed, which sounds weird, but the faster you can make something, I swear, the better it is.
I see the sense in that.
Otherwise it's like it just starts sounding stiff and unnatural when you overthink it. Like the first thing probably is the easiest, it's I don't know, in any other craft, not any other craft, but like, so you're playing a sport, right? You don't get to just like redo your at bat, right? Like
that's true.
You get to do your thing. So like with music, it's like, oh yeah, think of it like that. Do your best you can, and don't like, you don't get to redo. Like just do the lyric. Don't overthink it. Like the song is not the end of the song's not the end all be all. Like just make the song what it is, and then move on to the next one. That's my theory.
Yeah, I like that. And obviously, I touched on it briefly, but the video that came with it. So explain this to me. So the video, obviously, 2 a.m. is on the upcoming EP, which we'll talk about in a sec. And it has a feature video for it. But you mentioned like how the EP kind of comes as a short film. So is the video for this song like part of that short film, basically? How's that work?
So the short film is the short film. We can talk about that more if you want. But the song for 2 a.m. or the music video for 2 a.m. is part of that same story. It's like the epilogue to the short film. So the whole thing is like shot in reverse. If you watch, like it's like it ends where because it's backwards. So the end of the 2 a.m. video is also like the end of the short film. So it just like is what happens after. But obviously the film is like this like huge, massive, high budget production. The 2 a.m. video I did on a VHS camera.
Sure.
I was very into like found footage horror movies at the time. So
it comes through for sure.
I was scared making it. I never made something scary before. Well, I guess that's not true. The film is a little scary, but like I never like, because it's literally like 2 or 3 in the morning when I'm recording this thing that has to be in pitch black because otherwise the night vision won't work. So I'm like throwing shit in the LA River at 3 in the morning. Like it's actually kind of spooky to make. So I hope it got picked up on the camera. But yeah, it was just the whole thing is like related to the short film. Like the Super in Love video is also related to the short film. The lyric video, if you can believe it, of me jumping rope is related. Like all the lyric videos are, I haven't put them out yet, but they're going to come out when the EP does, but they are all little vignettes of like the characters' lives that are from the short film, just doing stuff that you don't see them doing in the film. The cover art is related. It's all this kind of big multimedia project that I, undertook. But I also wanted them to be interesting standalone things too. So that was a kind of a challenge, figuring out how to make this thing raise questions, but also still not completely be like, you can still watch it without really knowing it's part of the short film,
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Real quick, what's your favorite found footage horror film?
Oh my goodness. I really like, what do I like? What's my favorite one? See, it's really tough now because I'm like in the midst of making one with my friends. So I guess I'm not super, but like, I've just like seen so much of it now that it's like, I don't know. I will say, we know this guy named Dean who made like one of the earliest ones. Like this is before Blair Witch Project. And he made one, and he's been like the mentor. I'm taking a lot of credit for this. It's not my film, but I'm helping my friends do it. And he's been like the mentor advising this thing. But he made this thing in the 80s that I actually can't even think of the name for it. It's called like it has a weird name. I'll get it back to you at some point. But he made this like found footage video on a Super 8 camera where like aliens come, and like it's just a crazy thing. I don't know. I can't think of the name. It always throws me off because it's not named after anything in the movie. It's like the Kevin Project or something like that, which has nothing to do with the name.
Okay.
But anyway, he has been advising it. And so I guess my favorite one at the moment is the one my friend Adam is making. So he had this idea to make like, those movies like Unfriended that are all done on a laptop?
Yeah.
And they're obviously like, he was like, what if someone did a found footage version of that? So rather than it like being held on a Zoom, it's like someone found someone's hard drive and like copied the screen recordings and like iPhone videos. And so he's doing this like feature length film that's like shot on a variety of different things. Like some of it's shot on the laptop, some of it's shot on like a Ring camera, some of it's shot on like security cameras, iPhones, like, and he made a horror movie about, it's like a scary movie version of Unfriended. So it's like a parody found footage.
Oh, it's like parrot. It's like comedy almost then.
Yeah, but it's also really scary. So we shot some of it a lot of it is in this house, and that's my favorite one right now. Anyway, I'm part of it. Okay. I have a cameo in there.
Nice. Do you know, has that got a title yet? Just if,
it's called Content.
Content. Okay.
Content. Yeah. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Future. Nice.
Yeah. He's also in my short film too. So it's been fun to collaborate.
And so the EP itself out on 23rd of this month, I believe.
Yes, very soon, like a week.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're listening to this episode after the 23rd of June, go and listen to it now. It's called Junk.
Junk Mail.
Oh, Junk Mail. I'm sorry, man.
It's all good.
Did you record and mix this yourself? Like, did you act as the engineer and the main mixer? I'm sure I read that somewhere. How did that work?
except for 2 a.m., which, like I said, was done on the iPhone.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
The rest of it, yeah, I did do myself. So these songs started out just like my day of demos that I was kind of describing. I make them as fast as I can, and then that's it. And typically I hate revisiting old stuff. So when it came time to like put together an EP, I was like, I guess I got to put this old stuff together. And at the same time, I started playing live with this new band. And we did, my songs live. And then the way they recorded was a lot more like the original demos had a lot more production elements to them and like felt a little more polished, even though they're demos. But when we did them live, we did them with no like tracks or anything. We just did them with like 2 guitars, bass, drums, and my vocals and like 1 background vocal. And I was like, damn, this is sick. So I was like, what if we re-recorded these demos just like a live band? And so the exceptions to these rules are the ones that were out first. Like 2 a.m. obviously is not done with the live band. And then Super in Love also is not done with the live band. That one, or it is just not live drums. But the rest of them we did in like one session. I was like, oh, how hard could this be to engineer a live band? And so I had my friend who had some studio experience like do the actual engineering, like the recording. But then I was like, I'll just produce this out and mix it. And I was like, whoa, this is a feat. Okay. This is a feat to do. But I had a lot of fun doing it. Fun's the wrong word. I got a lot of fulfillment out of doing it. But Paycheck is the one that is the one that's the most like evident so far of this sound. But the other ones on the EP are like, actually my song Broke that's out was also done in the session in the same time with the live band. But it's on the EP. But that's not part but anyway, we did it. Yeah, I was really influenced by like I think this whole thing was like a reaction to, like I mentioned, my song Happy Healthy had this viral moment on TikTok because so the chorus is like this really extremist, like when I was making it was like a parody of like old pop punk songs. But when the song went viral, it was around the same time like MGK's Tickets to My Downfall came out and like that became a really trendy sound. So even though the rest of the song is like not like that at all, and even like the part that is in that vein is sort of like a parody, that song got me like in that, opened my eyes to a lot of people who were in that attuned to that genre. And I had never really like listened to this, like I didn't even really know there was like a new wave of pop punk stuff going on. Honestly, at the time, all the stuff I was making was a lot more like hip hop influence, even like hyper poppy. And that was the one that kind of blew up. And so then based on this, I was like, oh, like I can kind of like, I could see myself fitting in this world. So I was making these songs that were kind of like, these like pop punk homages, but I didn't really connect with like the kind of new wave of it. I always liked like the older stuff. And even then, like, I think a lot of the newer stuff is like heavily influenced by, it's like Blink or like Green Day. And that was never like, I always say I love those bands, but as a kid, that side of it, I never really liked as much as I really liked like Taking Back Sunday and Brand New and Say Anything. And that was always my world of pop punk, if you want to even call it that necessarily. Yeah,
so I mean, it's in the same world, but not pop punk per se. Yeah.
It's like emo-y pop or whatever. Yeah. Melodic, I don't know. But I was like, what if I kind of took the same idea that everyone else is doing right now, but like pulled from a different side of things, right? And so my idea for the CP was like, what if I, like, what is it about these songs that make it different? Like, what exactly is different about this that connected with me growing up versus the other side of things? And so I just really did a deep dive and went backwards. And then eventually I was like, fuck the trendy thing. I want to make something sound like authentically like it was made in like a different decade, but with like themes and like kind of songwriting styles that are more modern. And so, I would go on like, I went on like Wayback Machine on the internet and like was looking at old forums of like how people were like, I was like reading forums from people discussing like, dude, how do you get the Blue Album tone like from like Weezer? And then around that time I was also listening to a lot of Pinkerton. So I was like, what if I make my Pinkerton? Like, what if in my little narrative in my head, Happy Healthy was my Blue Album, and then I make a Pinkerton based on Happy Healthy. So I make like a more raw, self-produced, like live band mimicking sound. I mean, like that was the story of that album, is they made that as a reaction to the hype of Blue Album. And then, he did a lot of introspection and realized how much he didn't like what came of the Blue Album, and they decided to self-produce their second one, and it was a lot rawer and noisier and louder and heavier. And I always loved like loud guitars and distant vocals and stuff, but anyway, I was like, I want to make mine sound like that. And so I did it like all live, and like there's very few like plugins or like samples on this thing. Like Paycheck is a great example of this because it's just like the drums. There's an acoustic guitar, which we recorded live. The electric guitars, which we recorded live, but they're all done with like analog pedals and stuff. Like they're not put through an amp sim or anything. Not knocking that stuff. That was just my experiment. Like, how could I make something like this?
Yeah.
But pedals based on like that I bought based on what I was like seeing online, like how these people did it back in the day. And then the vocals are mixed in a similar way too. Like they're very like raw and upfront and imperfect, and like there's no reverb on it or anything like that. I mean, very little room sound just besides what's actually in the room. But it was really hard to stick to my guns to this because I was like, oh, like this sounds so flat compared to what's coming out nowadays. But then I'm like, well, I have to stick to what my initial idea was, like at least finish it. Like, you know, if these older albums, if they're going to turn their tone knob all the way down the guitar, like that's why I like it. Honestly, that's what's cool about it, but it's going to sound like flat. So finding ways to make this work was kind of my, my modus operandum for this. But then, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It just was a lot to do afterwards. And I just remember holding myself up in my old apartment, just like agonizing over this and being like, why did I choose to do it this way? Like I could just make this differently, but I really wanted to like I said before, I like sticking to a thing. So I was like, let me just see if I can finish this the way it was supposed to be made versus like heel toeing and like pivoting in the middle of it. And so, that's to answer your question. Yes, I did self-produce and engineer this.
What's your favorite song on the EP?
Oh my God, it changes. I like, I think right now it's the one called Emo Night, which is going to be like the lead single,
the opener one, right?
Yeah, but I think like in the long run, and the one that's the most special to me is Apples and Oranges. That's like, I think that's the one that is the most emblematic of the whole thing, and just kind of my style at the time. But right now I'm like, damn, Emo Night is so hard. But Apples and Oranges is sick. That one has been kind of the longest coming to. Like the chorus I wrote a long time ago, even like 2018 or something like that, and I found a way to repurpose it. I'll say Emo Night right now, just because I feel like it has just like so much energy to it. I like that it has a lot of chords in it, which is such a weird thing, but like usually I don't use that many chords in songs, but this one has like, I think it hits like every chord in the scale. I like how much energy's in it. There's so much yelling and shit. Like when we recorded it, I was like, I told the guys in the band, like, yo, just yell. Like if we're going to do a part, like if you think this is where in the production people would normally put like a swell, just do it with your voice. Like go like, oh, you hear it in Paycheck at the end. Like, you hear people just like screaming to build up to the end of the chorus. But like Emo Night has like so much yelling. There's a part where like we all as a band like decided to come up with this like la 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 part, which wasn't in the writing, but it was just like that felt good in the moment when we were doing it live. So we were like, oh shit, that's cool. And we all did it at the same time. I'll say Emo Night right now.
Cool. So as we say, out on the 23rd, and then you said you've wrapped up the film that comes with it. When's that going to follow? Like, I assume that's going to follow the EP, is it? If you've only just wrapped it up?
We're going to do a live premiere. So,
you mentioned
that's pertinent right now because I think people will hear this probably after the EP. But yeah, we're going to screen the film on this giant inflatable screen we got. And we also rented like a boxing ring that we're going to perform in because the thing's boxing themed.
Oh yeah, you said,
But the film will be premiered the same day as the EP. We're thinking of finding a way to do some sort of like private link for the first couple of weeks, but we want to submit to festivals, and part of that, some of them you become like you don't qualify for once it's online. So we're, I guess, in the process of like doing that right now, and then as soon as that's all done, it'll be online. But there will be the music video for Emo Night is just a shortened version of the short films. Like the short film's like 20 minutes long, and then the Emo Night music video is like a 2-minute supercut of the film.
Got you.
So you'll sort of be able to see it. But cool. I'm very proud of it. So I just put zero budget towards the music videos, which is why they're all like DIY, lo-fi, just myself doing them. And I redirected like all of that budget towards putting this film together. And it's not even like really related to the music whatsoever. The songs are just the soundtrack to the film, but I'm not lip syncing in it or anything. And the songs are really like diegetic, like the like Emo Night. It all plays in the songs come in the film in the order of the EP, right? Like the scene starts with this big fight scene, or the movie starts with a fight scene, and my character's walk-up song is Emo Night. And then the next song you hear is like a montage, and then one of the songs happens, you kind of just hear it over the loudspeakers in like a restaurant, and then like one of the songs is for like the fight scene, and then like one song's for the credits. But like my character is not a musician, he's a boxer, and not even really a boxer. He quits boxing after the first scene, so he doesn't throw another punch like the whole movie. So it's like it's pretty sick.
So have you got much of an acting background as well then?
No, but I like to think I could do it. It's always been something I wanted to do. Okay, I guess I do. I've like, before I was even making music, I was always making like skits with my friends, and that's always been where my head is at. But I've never been like confident enough to like try out for or like audition for other people's things. So I was just like, I've been saying I want to be an actor for too long. Let me just make my own thing and just kind of like bulldoze my way into doing this. But I feel like I did really well. I really like what I did. It wasn't too hard. I was just kind of playing myself, but I was like an exaggerated version of myself. But yeah, definitely going forward, I definitely fell in love with it, and I'm definitely going to do more in the future. And yeah, it was did a lot of like body transformation for it. Like I lost a bunch of weight and got into really good shape to be this boxer. Mm-hmm. And then I shaved my head for the last scene, which is like a flashback. And so
I saw you did a TikTok about that.
Yeah, I was that's a good one. That's a good one. But yeah, I wrote the thing too, and I did not direct it. My girlfriend directed it, which was a really cool experience working with my partner, and also really nice of me to be able to like offload I don't really want to be directing necessarily. I want to act and I want to write, maybe in the future, but I've always like directed my own videos, and I think that's like the theme of like this whole junk mail era is like do everything myself because I don't trust other people to do it. But really I'm too afraid to ask to collaborate. I was too afraid. This is what I've learned is like, is it really a point of pride that I did this whole thing myself? Or was it this weird kind of like masochistic punishment of some weird way? Now I'm like, I refuse to do anything on my own anymore. Like I love collaborating going forward after junk mail. Never going to do that again until I want to, but yeah, that's like just kind of the theme of that time in my life. I think I used to use music and anything as like a way to like push people away, keep people out, I didn't really realize I was doing it, but how many girlfriends did I break up with before because I had to go work on my music? Or like how many people, how many parties, how many plans did I cancel because I had to work on my music? And like to some extent that's good, right? Be dedicated. But I think it used to be an excuse for me to isolate, and so now kind of working through that and like getting out of my system. Now I'm like, I literally feel like I'm incapable of doing that again. I will not put myself through that again. So yeah. And then doing the film and realizing how much better something can be when you rely on other people and like open yourself up to collaborating. Like I literally could not have done the film on my own, nor it would have been terrible if I did. Right.
Yeah.
So it's a wonder that junk mail turned out the way it did with like, obviously I had co-writers and I had people like helping me along the way, but like the majority of it, I like made myself do. But yeah, now for the next CP, it's like not produced only by me and not only mixed by me. It's less painful process.
Sense. Yeah. Max, tell me a little bit about your background. Are you from Seattle originally?
Yes, I'm from a suburb of Seattle called Kent. I grew up there. I started doing music when I was like 11 or 10. I played the upright bass in the orchestra. But even before then, I was always like, excuse me, I always loved music, and I always was like writing lyrics and stuff, even before learning to play an instrument or even really knowing what music was. To me, I always just like lyrics, and so I'd write them. They really would just be poems, but like to me, they were music. And then I lived in this like a small town, and all my best friends were my neighbors. And so one day, my uncle, who was in a band, he like needed to store his extra drum set or something, so he kept it in my basement. And then me and my friends started just like banging on it, and then I had my bass, and that became me asking for like a guitar for Christmas. And then we kind of just, my friends and I started this band that was really just like friends making noise. But then we started like putting stuff online. And this was in around the time when like Odd Future was going really crazy on YouTube. Like those videos were what inspired me, or like the Rex Arrow videos with like Mac Miller really made music feel like a thing that just kids could do. And especially in Seattle, like it's a pretty good place to foster creativity. Like historically, a lot of music happens there. So it always felt like a natural thing for me and my friends to start making music and posting online. And back then we were doing hip hop. Like I had a friend who was a really good producer, very ahead of his time. And me and my literal next door neighbor, we would be like the two rappers on this thing. And that was how we started putting stuff out. And then we decided to start doing more like band type, like rock, like it was like punk music. And so that was how we like kind of started taking it more seriously when we started doing full band stuff. And then we moved to Arizona for school. Excuse me, I'm gonna grab a water real quick. I'm just
go for it. I don't know what that is.
But because I'm in my AirPods. After high school, the band, what's the story now? It's been so long. Big jug of water. Yes. At the end of high school, the other like singer of the band / producer of the band, we kind of had a falling out, and he decided to go move to Utah, become a Mormon, and get married.
Oh, okay. And different direction.
Originally, my plan was to go to UCLA. The band guys, we were all going to go to UCLA together because I felt like college was something I still had to do, and then go to LA and do music. But then as soon as Spencer decided to quit the band, and then I also didn't get into UCLA, I was like, oh my God, like this dream is not a real thing. So I kind of quit music and then decided to be a business guy and go to school in Arizona, which was like total 180. I had never even been to Arizona before. I just decided to go because they gave me a full ride. Yeah. And then I was like, fuck it. Like if I'm not going to do the thing I want to do, I might as well go the exact opposite direction. And so, I went to school, kind of like gave up on being creative for a little while, and then hated it. I was like not myself. I was, assimilating in a way that felt beyond my control if I didn't put a stop to it soon.
Yeah.
I was like, if I keep going this direction, I know exactly how my life's going to turn out, And so around that exact same time, the guy called me up and was like, hey, I'm divorcing my wife. I'm leaving the church. I'm dropping out of school. I'm going to buy a van. Let's get the band started again. And I was like, fuck yeah. So then I broke up with my girlfriend. I quit my internship. I shaved my head for the first time back then. Yeah. And we got the band started again. So everyone moved to Arizona, which was pretty cool. And then I stayed there over the summer rather than going home and doing my internship. And we just started playing so many live shows. And Tucson has a really cool music scene, right? Like, a lot of people who live there, that go to school there, don't really venture outside of the campus, but Tucson's a huge place, and Arizona in general has a really cool, historically, actually pop punk scene, which is kind of where we were sitting. That's where like Jimmy Eat World is from, and like now we would do shows with like we were playing with Ann Arbor, and like it was cool. But there was just such a opportunity there to play live music, and we started from like nothing. Like we would play literally shows to like 0 people, which honestly wasn't even a problem at the time. I liked it. I was like, fuck it, I like to just play music. It's fun. But then, after playing like 10 of those, we had like one guy who came to like 2 shows, and we were like, oh my God, like our first guy. And then he started bringing his friends, and all of a sudden, by the time school started, we had built up like a little local fan base. Keep in mind, no social media, nothing online. We had no idea how to produce anything. We were like too punked to post on social media and shit. Right. So we just like built this thing so DIY. Like I lived in this place in the backyard, and we built these like stages, and we would just do these crazy house shows, because you can be loud outside in Arizona. It's not like LA. You can just do whatever you want. And in Tucson, it's all spread out. And so we would like we would have bands like come, we'd make friends from like other cities and we'd have them like come drive over and like we'd do like these little festivals in our backyard and they would get like 200-300 people just like packed in there. And it was really cool. Like no social media or anything. We had like 2 songs online and then we had like everything else. We'd just only do live. And it was just a word of mouth, really cool thing combined with like the local scene and then the people in school that we knew, like would just kind of come together. And
yeah,
we played like every venue in Tucson. Did like 100 shows. It was a lot in like just 2 years of this. And so then we were like, LA, we're gonna make it big time. Like this is totally gonna translate. But then we moved to LA and our lease starts March 2020. And we move here. COVID happens. We have no online presence, no ability to produce music. And the only thing we like doing is doing shows. So we had like 9 people come out here, like the 5 people that were in the band, like a producer, like a photographer, / videographer, and then like just 2 people that were kind of along for the ride. And every single person left within like 4 months. So by the time, by November was the day the last guy moved out. And so one person who's my best friend, he at the time was our videographer, photographer. We were the last ones left in this big house. And so we were like, we can only cover so much of rent with our stimulus check. Like, how are we supposed to do this? And we lived in Melrose. Like, we had this big garage. We had a backyard, like this like 5-bedroom. It was a big house, right? But we split it with a lot of people. So then we just filled it with new people. And then I was like, people didn't know. But I was like, I guess I still want to do music. Like, but I don't know I never had done it on my own. I had no idea how to produce. I had no idea how to do anything, but I was like, the world's ending. I got to commit to this. I don't want to go home right now. So I like took it upon myself to like learn how to produce. I would just like watch Kenny Beats on like live stream, just copy him and like just nothing to do in COVID except like 16 hours a day, just in the studio, just like learning boot camp. I was like, I got to do this soon. Right. And then, the most important part of the story. So we were like, how do we meet new people? Like, how do we meet new people during COVID? And so we were thinking, because this is my friend from college, we were like, how did we find out about like friends in college? Like, how did you find out about clubs? And we were like, oh, people would like set up tables and like do shit. We were like kind of laughing, like, what if we tabled for friends? Like, we made like a table for ourselves. And we were like, well, we can kind of make an angle here because he's a comedian. He does like these kind of like comedy documentaries. Like, he always has like an angle and stuff like this. And so we were like, what if we, like, under the guise of promoting my music, which, that didn't even exist at this point. What if we set up these tables and just like handed out stickers and really we were just making friends, but we just like did this around LA, like how much would our lives change? And, everyone was going crazy at this time. So that's why it made a lot of sense, I guess. But then we were like, well, we're going to be wearing our masks. How are people going to know what we look like? So we were like, what if we got these like giant signs of our faces? And so we bought these 8-foot tall signs of his head and my head. And we just got a table and we just like, we're like, what if we did this for a month straight for 8 hours a day? How much would our life change? And I'm all in for weird shit, right? So we just posted up, like we had different beats. Like during the week, we would go to like Santa Monica, or we go to like Venice or like Rodeo Drive and just post up in a spot and just talk to as many people as we can. On the weekends, we go to like the Trading Post, or we go to like Venice. And I met every single person I still hang out with in LA to this day by doing this.
Oh, cool.
I met thousands of people. Because you are there for 8 hours a day and like you're just meeting people. And then, one thing led to another. I started meeting musicians from that. They were like, you guys are fucking weird. We'd be wearing these like gold suits and like I had nothing to promote. We weren't even filming this. I refused to post TikTok at the time. There was no content made of this. This was just a thing to do. We were just a part of the weirdness of 2020. But I met a musician who ended up I met a videographer who ended up doing videos with me, which led to me meeting like this musician who I ended up like falling in love with and wrote all these songs about that on the EP. But then she introduced me to this guy who made a song, which I was like, that's sick. And that inspired me to make Happy Healthy. And then I was like, okay, I saw all my friends at the time start blowing up on TikTok. And I was like, I gotta do this too. I mean, what's stopping me? Yeah. So I started posting on TikTok. Then I posted Happy Healthy. It was like my fifth TikTok, was just the chorus of Happy Healthy. And then it blew up and I was like, whoa, that did for me in 1 second what an entire year of this like craziness did. Not even anything.
That's amazing. What was it like when you first, so that video goes up, like how quickly did that kind of start getting traction? Like what was that sort of jump like when you first noticed it?
Well, it's kind of it's a weird thing because here's where the story gets a little dark. But at the time, I had this friend back home who is actually my cousin, but long story, family friends. But he's like my oldest friend. And he, at the same time as I was pursuing music, he was pursuing being a fighter. And he had some mental health issues. And then I lost touch with him for like 6 months, no matter how hard I couldn't get a hold of him. But then the day the song blew up, I remember it was June 23rd, 2021. So it's 2 years to the day before the EP comes out. But the song, it took off instantly. It was like a very instant thing. I had like 0 followers and all of a sudden this video is getting like 1 million views, like literally day out. It was crazy.
Wow.
But randomly, my friend FaceTimed me and I had not heard from him in like months. I was kind of mad at him, honestly. I was like, dude, like, where have you been? Like, I want to tell you about all this crazy stuff I've been doing in the last 6 months. Like, I didn't know about the song. I didn't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
But he obviously was acting like kind of weird. And then I was just like, okay, cool. And then I ended up calling his mom and being like, yo, he's not doing very well. But then that night he ended up committing suicide.
Oh, I'm
so
sorry,
the same
man.
day, yeah, it was tough. The same day all this stuff started happening, that happened, which obviously here's the internet. Here's like a fucking life, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I was like, how do I reckon this in my head? Because like, it just put everything into perspective. I'm like, what am I like? What is this making me happy? What I'm doing? Like, this is, but then at the same time, I was like, this is a guy, our whole friendship is based on like holding each other accountable and like pursuing stuff. And like him in good health would not have wanted this to have put a stop to what was happening for me. Right.
Sure.
So I guess that was what kept me going. And also I didn't want to think about it too much. So I just like hold myself up. And at this time, Happy Healthy wasn't finished. It was just a chorus. And so
it was literally just existed as a chorus. Okay.
Oh, I guess there was a verse, but it was like not how it is now. And it was just a recording of it off of a speaker that blew up on TikTok. And so I knew I had to go home for the funeral in like 2 weeks. Yeah. So I was like, well, let me just not think about this and then finish this song, like whatever that means. But at the same time, it was really tough because like, I knew I had to strike while the iron's hot. So I had to keep like dancing around and jumping on TikTok and like posting these videos while like grieving, or I guess like putting off grieving. But it felt really disingenuous because I was like, dude, this sucks. But everything kind of took a turn from there. Like I definitely got into a bad spot after this. I definitely like I came back and like the combination of well, obviously I was grieving and he was like really close friend of mine, if not my best friend. And then at the same time, everything was taking off. Like I'm starting to get invited to parties now. I'm meeting people. Like I'm drinking a lot. I'm going doing stuff that's not probably healthy. I'm like sleeping till like 3 p.m. and going to bed at like 8 in the morning, like not handling it properly. And so all these songs that are from the EP are written from this time, which is like, okay, on one hand, I got what I wanted. I came to LA. My music career is taking off. But on the second hand, I'm like so unhappy. This sucks. I'm at these parties that I've always wanted to go to, but everyone here fucking sucks. Like I'm having these terrible conversations. Maybe they don't even suck. Maybe I'm just in a bad headspace. Who fucking knows? My friend just died. I'm dating girls who don't give a shit about me. I don't even like music doesn't feel important to me anymore because the dude just died. So like I'm still making it because like what am I gonna do? Quit? And like so all these songs are written from this perspective of like, here's my dream and it sucks. And so that's like the idea like of Junk Mail is that I, in the pursuit of my dream, became a person that I didn't like, which is like weird because you think that self-actualization is like a good thing, but I actually like devolved in a way and became just like a weird, cynical, pessimistic, honestly sad guy.
Yeah.
And so that was the so all these songs were made in the wake of that, which is why they're a little bit like they're very like manic and weird, and especially the ones that are yet to come out. But they're raw and they're real, and that's part of why the short film is about me being a boxer. It's in tribute to my friend who was always a fighter. That was his thing, was fighting, and putting it out on the anniversary of his death is the whole thing is like a in memoriam to him. So
yeah, I'm sure you'd be proud. That's touching, man.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, that's heavy. That's very heavy. Have you sort of under this kind of project under your name? Have you played many live shows since this has been a thing?
Yeah, I've done. Let me think. During once everything started kind of opening up, I would do, and we still lived in that house in Melrose. I would kind of emulate the house show thing we do in Tucson, but I knew we couldn't be as loud, so I would like do it inside this house, which was like terrible for everyone's eardrums. But that was pretty fun. I did a couple of those. I've done like various showcases. I've done like emo night. I've done like school night. But not as many as I would have hoped. It's just a different thing in LA to do shows. It's not like Tucson where there's less people trying to do music, or the ratio to venues to artists is a lot higher in favor of the venues in Tucson than it is here, right? Which is really my only experience of it. Whereas here, it's like there are less venues, but they also like charge a cover, and then you got to get an Uber to go to it, and they're all spread out, and it's hard to get people there, and like everyone's trying to do music here, so who cares about a show? It's just like I would love to do a lot more, but a lot of the time it feels literally like it's too expensive for me to put it on. Like you got to pay the band, you got to do all this stuff. It's like not the same as like just doing as many bar crawls as you can in Tucson.
Okay.
But it's still my favorite part of it. And that's why for the premiere we're doing it's going to be sort of like a house show again. I got my friend generously offered his like big house to do the premiere at, and setting up the boxing ring and going to perform in it like a stage. But yeah, I'm hoping to go on tour in like either like the fall, if that works out with timing, but most likely more in the beginning of the year with the new EP, which is after Junk Mail, which I'm not even going to begin to talk about. But
okay. So you're going to tour to promote the next release, basically. That's the plan.
Yes, that's the plan.
Okay. What kind of bands do you see yourself like going out on the road with? Like you know, if it was up to you with it.
Oh my God, if it was up to me for Junk Mail, I would love, like I really like. I could see Junk Mail fitting in the world with like Mom Jeans and Hot Mulligan, or like Pup even, or like I love like Joyce Manor and like Jeff Rosenstock. That's like where I think this fits in. But going forward though, I don't know. Junk Mail is like really its own little thing that I have never made music like this before, and I don't plan to make it after. So I've kind of planned to depart from the pop punk adjacent thing after this. But at the time being, I would love to go with like I love Prince Daddy and the Hyena. Let's like go with them once tour. Like but the new stuff definitely goes backwards in terms of like stuff I used to make in the more kind of like alt hip hop direction. So I'm excited to see where that takes me. But as of right now, that's who I'd say I would like to go on tour with.
Very cool. Very cool. So I guess after this, you'll look towards that next EP coming out, and that's kind of how the rest of your year will shape up. Is there anything we haven't brought up that you've got coming up that you'd want to mention here?
We got the EP, we got the film. I guess that's it for the time being. Like I said, the film was that's taken up so much time, and I've been so good about not talking about it on social media, because like I'm a firm believer that the more you talk about something, the less internal magic there is. So you can't let out the steam before it's too early. But
that's
going to be now that is like wrapping. There's going to be, after the EP comes out on the 23rd, there's going to be a lot of stuff revolving around the film to promote that like post release. So that will be the next couple months. There's like a whole documentary we made behind the scenes for it. It's a cool thing. Like we did it. A lot of us are relatively experienced when it comes to like some parts of like making a film, but we all basically were like, okay, normally I do, for example, like normally I do sound, but I've always wanted to be a DP. So I would like, hey, let's do this film together where you do your dream job. Or like with Ella has always acted, but she wanted to be a director. So I was like, or she's always wanted to direct. So we were like, oh yeah, let's do your dream job for this. So like for me, I've always wanted to be an actor. So let me do the part that this was like our experiment with everyone. Like, okay, let's just like pretend this is we're doing our dream career right now.
Yeah.
In this world. And so, yeah, it was just really fun. And so we're definitely really proud of it and going to be promoting that for a while. So yeah.
Sounds good, man. We've been going a little while here. So I think I've got a couple of just kind of like bog standard quick fire questions, if that's cool to fire at you. And then I reckon we can
fire away.
I mean, I kind of asked a similar question, but this is, I guess, proper. It doesn't matter what kind of music you're making. What's the dream tour lineup that you're part of for you?
Oh my God. It doesn't matter what kind. Okay. Yeah. Fuck, I feel like I have like a thing. Every band I really ever like always breaks up. So like, can it be?
Yeah,
can it be broken up bands?
Yeah, it can be broken up bands. People who are still with us or past.
There's always been this world where like I always talk about the music I want to make and which I typically make that outside of the junk mail sphere is being somewhere between what the guys in Brockhampton were doing and what Brand New is doing.
Okay,
so did back in the day. So wouldn't that be a crazy little mix? That's where I would like to sit in the middle of. So this kind of indie alt hip hop world and then like super emo dramatic, like dreary shit. But then, both bands don't exist anymore. And then me, there would be me. But also like, if we could have like late 90s Weezer still around, they would be there. Who else? Really fuck with Dominic Fike. But see, there's just some of this combination of all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then who else do I really like at the moment? I always go through weird kicks. Weird meaning not in relation to like other stuff I like. Because like if you would ask me this a couple months ago, all I would listen to was like country folk music,
Oh,
so
nice.
maybe we could put like Tyler Childers on this festival too, because I like his stuff too. Yeah, a lot of mixed stuff.
Nice variation. Okay, I'm gonna fire 4 previous guests I've had on this show, and you can only keep the music of one of these artists.
Okay.
All right. So who shall I give you? All right, I'm gonna give you Rise Against, Sum 41, The Menzingers, MXPX. You can only keep the music of one of those 4 artists.
Fuck, that's actually really hard. Recency bias. I was listening to so much Rise Against recently. I kind of never gave them their due diligence when I was a kid, outside of like, I guess they had Prayer, the Refugee, and Guitar Hero. That's how I learned about them. But
Great song.
But I'm also like, damn, I was listening to Swing Life Away because I was just listening to Rise Against. But I think about it, and Sum 41 was really formative to me. Fuck, it's between those two. But also, I love the Menzingers. Like, I love. I'm
going to see them on Monday, actually.
Anymore.
Oh yeah,
Live?
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
So sick. Fuck. Okay, I have to pick Sum 41 just because of Fat Lip.
Seems fair.
I have to do it. The rap rock is cool. And I remember one of the first riffs I ever learned on the guitar was the Hell song too. So I gotta give them that.
Okay.
But also, I used to always show off in middle school. I would play Savior if I Rise Against. That was always my show off song on the guitar. I could play both parts. I could play the rhythm and I could play the lead. So I would always. I remember impressive. Like person showing off on the guitar. I was like 14 and I was like, I'm gonna outdo you. And they're playing like American Idiot or something. And then I come up and I play Savior. I thought it was so cool. But then I instantly was like, what did I do that for? I just embarrassed myself by trying to embarrass someone else. So I learned from that moment. But anyway.
Good lesson.
Yeah, there we
go. Favorite TV show?
Oh my God. Okay. Right now it's Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, great choice.
I'm obsessed. I cannot stop. Like I was literally just watching it. But
what season were you just watching? I'm a big Curb guy, so
season 11. I just watched the episode where I'm on the episode where Larry's dating that producer girl and she's telling him the secret. I don't know. I don't know where this one's going yet, but I just started it. But yeah, it's that, or I love just like cringe comedy stuff. So I also love Nathan For You, in The Rehearsal. I actually used to, another weird thing I would do in COVID is I used to be obsessed with Nathan Fielder. So I would try to go to all of the places around LA that he pranked. And I would ask them about him.
Okay.
And I got pretty far. But yeah, those are the two, Nathan For You or The Rehearsal. But also Better Call Saul.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of a bit of a modern classic. I've never gone in for that myself. I must do that sometime.
It's amazing.
Okay. And then final question, back to music. Favorite album of all time, if you're able to pick one. I know that's.
God.
Anytime I ask that, I should really rephrase that question. Like, just what are some of your contenders for album of all time? Because everyone's just like, I can't pick one, just like that.
I'll give a couple. First thing that comes to mind is Pinkerton. I really like Your Favorite Weapon by Brand New. I really like Blonde by Frank Ocean. I really like I love albums. What else have I been really obsessed with recently? I've been really into Swimming by Mac Miller recently too. That's like one that has really gotten me.
Oh yeah.
I really like, I'm thinking of things that like, I feel like this is like a hard question because like there's the ones that you like the most and there's the ones you actually listen to the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, okay, those are my choices.
Cool. Yeah. Nice. I think we can wrap things up there.
Yeah.
Max, really appreciate you giving me some of your time. EP sounds great. I got sent in advance of the EP. I've been really enjoying it. I hope it does really well. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I have to say as well, I'll tell you what song by you that I'm obsessed with at the minute as well, like kind of in the weeks leading up to this is, I'm gonna have to look it up. It was one of the songs you released last year. But just the melody is constantly in my head.
Birthday?
No, not Birthday.
Really?
Name another one.
Broke?
No, not Broke.
Always Never Again?
That's it. That's the one.
Oh, really?
I fucking love that song, man. The melody's so good.
Hell yeah. That was original. Broke and Always Never Again were in the original version of this EP.
Oh, really?
So it used to be, but then I ended up putting them out first and they got replaced by Super in Love and 2 a.m. and this song called Pudding, those used to not be on the EP. It used to be a 5-song one with those two. So those were kind of recorded at the same time. But I love when people like the underrated ones.
Yeah, that was just the one that just clicked with me. Just cool. The kind of melody that I'm all about. But yeah, man, thanks so much for doing this.